The millionaire beggar man, kicked out by ungrateful woman, hides a shocking $5 million. It was a story that broke the internet and had the city buzzing. Jack was once a millionaire, a shining star in the world of tech entrepreneurship. A tech whiz turned philanthropist, he owned sleek offices in the tallest skyscrapers. Then, in a stunning twist, he became the city's most notorious beggar, banished from a luxury café by a woman he called Ungrateful. The headlines read, "Millionaire beggar man, kicked out by ungrateful woman, hides a shocking $5 million. But everyone was asking, how does a man who had it all end up on the streets, clutching a tattered backpack? The city was a whirlwind of colors, sounds, and chaos. Jack wandered through the bustling streets, feeling every eye on him. The lampposts loomed like judges, and every turned head made his skin crawl. He couldn't escape his reflection in the shiny windows of shops selling designer clothes and expensive watches. How his life had become a stark contrast to those polished surfaces. With each step, he felt his chest tighten, memories of grand dinners and laughter stinging his heart. One evening, under the flickering lights of a subway entrance, he met her, Sarah. She looked like she belonged on a magazine cover, hair perfectly styled, a tailored coat draped over her shoulders. Jack expected her to scorn him like all the others, but instead, she paused, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "Are you okay?" she asked, a genuine concern lacing her voice that rattled him. No one ever asked that anymore. Their encounters became a strange routine, as predictable as the sunrise. Jack would share snippets of his life, the betrayal of his business partner, the financial tumble that stripped him bare, the nights spent staring at the stars, grappling with what could have been. Each tale tugged at Sarah's heart. She found herself dreaded returning to her own lavish life, where every silver spoon shined too brightly, where laughter often felt hollow, and her family's reputation was teetering on the brink of disaster. But as their friendship blossomed, something unexpected stirred in their bond. Sarah's family was embroiled in a scandal that implicated Jack's former business partner. Every cozy coffee shop conversation now felt heavy with unspoken truths. Jack's eyes darkened whenever Sarah mentioned her family's name, his pulse quickening, thoughts spiraling. Then, one day, the truth stumbled out between casual laughter and the softness of whispered secrets. Sarah's father had backed Jack's downfall, his shady dealings tightening the noose around Jack's dream. Jack froze. The world around him spun, street sounds fading into the background hum. Could he trust her? How could they move forward, knowing that her world had led to his demise? The ground felt like it shifted beneath them. They stood on the precipice of a choice, to step back or leap forward together. Desperation clawed at Jack's throat, while Sarah's perfect life crumbled like fragile glass in her hands. Would this revelation tear them apart, or would it be the catalyst for their transformation? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button down there to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every incredible person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all that difference. Let's interact. As they stood in the soft hum of the subway entrance, a spell hung in the air. Jack's heart raced, his breath catching like a whisper. Sarah faced him, her eyes wide, a mixture of fear and disbelief splashed across her face. The weight of her family's secret felt like a storm brewing between them. He wanted to scream, to run, to deny everything. But instead, a silence enveloped them, deep and suffocating. "Jack, I didn't know." Sarah's voice shook. Her perfectly manicured hands trembled slightly as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. The tension crackled, ready to explode. "I swear, I never knew about my father's involvement." Jack wouldn't let himself believe her. Not yet. "Here we are." His voice was taut, like a drawn bowstring. "Your father is responsible for everything I lost." The words tasted bitter on his tongue. Anger and sadness twisted inside him. The air shifted. A group of people passed by, briefly interrupting their bubble of turmoil. He could feel the weight of their glances, the judgment pooling beneath their feet. Whispers floated like smoke. "Look at him," someone said, voice dripping with disdain. "Used to be somebody." "Shut up," Sarah snapped at the onlookers, her perfect facade cracking. It was a raw moment of defiance, but Jack felt cold. They were caught in a web, tangled in each other's lives, and the world outside continued to poke and prod. Just then, chaos erupted. A shout pierced the evening calm. "Stop, thief!" The words echoed, and all heads turned just as a figure barreled down the street, fistfuls of something sparkling in the air. A few people gasped, startling in place. The thief dashed past, eyes wild, breathless. A shocked crowd buzzed and peeled off the sidewalk like leaves caught in a gust. In a split second, everything changed. A loud bang jolted through the air, sending people scattering. Jack's heart raced as he instinctively pulled Sarah closer. The loud noise was a gunshot, sharp enough to slice through the confusion like a knife. People screamed. Chaos danced through the streets as everyone scrambled for safety. Jack's instincts kicked in. "We need to get out of here," he shouted. But Sarah was frozen, staring at the commotion, her face pale. And then another scream ripped through the night, chilling them to their core. In the chaos, he spotted the thief, clutching something gleaming, something he realized was more than just stolen goods. It was a diamond bracelet, a huge, unmistakable piece of jewelry that glinted like a beacon. Suddenly, everything fell into place. "Wait," Jack murmured, stomach dropping, understanding dawning. That's the bracelet that was missing from your family's estate." Sarah's eyes brightened with realization. "No way," she whispered, the horror morphing into disbelief as her family's name echoed in the street like a taunt. Before Jack could respond, the thief stumbled, and a loud gunshot blasted again. This time, closer, piercing through the din of panic. People ducked and covered their heads. Jack felt fear clawing at his throat. Something inside him snapped. "Come on!" He grabbed Sarah's hand, pulling her away from the danger. But as they ran, the pieces of the puzzle began to shift again. If the bracelet was at the center of this unfolding chaos, what did it mean? Could Sarah's family be implicated? Would this avalanche of secrets bury them both? As they darted around the corner, Jack's mind raced. Disease of uncertainty spread through him. This was just the beginning of their story. Everything felt entangled, and he couldn't shake the feeling that Sarah might not just be a victim, but part of a bigger disaster waiting to unfold. As they dashed around the corner, Jack's grip on Sarah tightened, pulling her away from the chaos swirling behind them. The echoes of screams bounced off the buildings, a haunting backdrop to the whirlwind of thoughts racing through his mind. Fear mingled with adrenaline, turning the night into a blur of shadows and uncertainty. "Jack!" Sarah gasped, barely keeping pace. Her breath came in short bursts, eyes wide with panic. "What if they're coming for us?" He glanced back just in time to see a crowd of people tumbling over one another. their faces etched with terror. "We'll be fine. Just keep moving." He wove through alleyways, his heart pounding. But the weight of their recent revelation pressed on him, blending with the danger of the moment. Once they found a moment of calm, tucked behind an old warehouse, Jack willed his pulse to slow. His thoughts raced. What did the bracelet mean? Did her family orchestrate the theft? He turned to Sarah, her face illuminated by a flickering streetlight. "We need to talk, Sarah. This isn't just about the bracelet. It's bigger than that." "Do you think my father—" She couldn't finish the thought, her voice trembling. Jack saw that the girl he had begun to care for was shattering before his eyes. Before he could respond, something caught his eye, a flicker of movement by the dumpster. He squinted, trying to see through the shadows. Then, without warning, there was a loud crash as the lid shot up. A man stumbled out, wild-eyed and disheveled, clutching the diamond bracelet like it was the Holy Grail. "Help! Help!" he shouted, eyes darting between Jack and Sarah. "I'm innocent! I just found it!" Jack's instincts flared up. "Get back!" he yelled as the hysteria of the scene spun tighter. But the man stumbled forward, collapsing against the wall, gasping, "You have to believe me! They're after me!" The urgency of the situation wrapped around them like a heavy fog. Jack felt a lump rise in his throat. Dread crept in. Who was this man? How did he fit into the chaos? But even amidst the noise, Sarah's expression shifted. It was like a light bulb had flickered on, her eyes searching him for answers. "Jack, what if my father set this whole thing up? What if he framed that poor man?" "No!" The word escaped him like a breathless gasp, but his mind swirled. Had they been wrong about everything? Then, in a heartbeat, chaos engulfed them again. Suddenly, police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. The man looked at them, panic making his gaze wild. "You have to hide me! You don't understand! They're coming for us!" Before Jack could say anything, a shadowy figure appeared at the end of the alley. A tall policeman, his silhouette imposing against the dim light, came into view. "Freeze! Hands where I can see them!" Time stopped. Jack's body froze, heart racing. The man, desperate and frantic, stumbled backward, his voice rising. "Help! It's not what you think!" The officer stepped closer, pointing his flashlight. Jack knew they were caught between the chaos of secrets and the very real danger unfolding before them. The truth felt slippery, shifting like sand beneath their feet. As all their eyes met, Jack sensed something was very, very wrong. The frantic man's expression flickered, revealing a glimmer of recognition in his eyes, one that felt like a spark igniting a hidden fire. "Jack!" Sarah's whisper hung in the air, tremulous with hope and fear. "What if he knows something about my father?" Before Jack could unravel what lay ahead, the man suddenly smiled, a chilling expression that sent shivers down Jack's spine. "Oh, I know. Much more than you think." The cold realization crashed over Jack like icy water. Everything he believed was being pulled apart, and the truth hung in the air, waiting to break like a storm. Suddenly, he wasn't sure who to trust or what the next moment would reveal. Jack's pulse thundered in his ears, syncing with the heavy tension in the air. "Oh, I know much more than you think." The disheveled man smirked, an unsettling smile spreading across his dirt-streaked face. The officer shouted again, his voice slicing through the panic. "Get on the ground! Hands up!" Jack's thoughts spiraled. This man was already standing on shaky ground, but now he seemed to revel in their fear. The situation was disintegrating, like a paper boat in a storm. Sarah pressed against Jack, eyes darting from the man to the officer, her face pale with horror. "I swear, We don't know anything, Jack pleaded, knowing the officer's grip could tighten around them any moment. The chaotic rhythm of sirens grew louder, drowning out the cries of the terrified crowd that scattered like leaves in the wind. Sensing the raw nerves around him, the man smiled wider. You think it's just about the bracelet? Oh, it's so much bigger than that. So much more at stake. Shut up, Jack shouted, fear mixing with desperation. You're putting us all in danger. But the man just laughed, a harsh, rattling sound. You don't even know the half of it. Before anyone could react, the flickering light above them exploded, glass raining down as bullets pounded into the wall behind them. The officer shouted again, and Jack felt the rush of adrenaline drown out all logic. Run, he yelled, grabbing Sarah's hand and bolting down the alleyway. Fear surged in both their chests, pounding like drums. But just as they turned the corner, they collided with a figure emerging from the shadows. Jack! It was a woman, standing there like a ghost. Her face was framed with soft curls, but her eyes were stormy, filled with secrets. Who are you? Jack gasped, his heart racing. Recognition flickered in Sarah's eyes. Is that? It's Lily, Sarah whispered, shock washing over her. My sister? Lily took a step forward, breathless, panic reflected in her wide eyes. I've been searching for you both. I had to find you before it's too late. Too late for what? Jack shot back, bewilderment twisting in his gut. Then, Lily glanced over her shoulder, fear arching her brows. They're coming for you. I can explain, but we need to get out of here. Now. What do you mean, coming for us? Sarah called, her voice rising above the chaos. What did you get yourself into? But the urgency in Lily's eyes was evident. Your father, he's been hiding things, huge things, secrets that could destroy us all. Jack felt the world lurch. Secrets? What secrets? Just then, a loud bang resonated down the alley, sending them all jumping. A shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, gun drawn and glinting coldly. Now what do we have here? The figure's voice was low, dripping with intent. Jack's heart raced, confusion bubbling into terror. Lily's face drained of color. Run, please, she cried. But it was too late. The figure stepped into the light, revealing not just a gun, but a face. One Jack recognized all too well. Father? Jack's voice came out in a hoarse whisper. A feeling of betrayal eyed like a dagger plunged into his chest. You? The officer's shout for backup rang through the night, urgency flooding the scene. Jack's world spun, spiraling into unreality. His father, the man he thought he could trust, now stood as the looming shadow of threat. With everything crashing down, Jack's mind raced. The truth, the bracelets, the chaos, it all coalesced, but the absence of certainty paralyzed him. What other secrets lay buried? What relationships could withstand this new storm? His father stepped forward, the coldness in his eyes slicing through Jack's own warmth. You're better off staying out of this, son. His voice echoed in Jack's mind, drowning out the panic around them. It felt like a doorway slamming shut, sealing Jack off from a lifetime of trust. What are you really hiding? Jack's voice trembled. Lily's terrified expression burned into him, and the fear bubbled like molten lava. As his father's shadow loomed larger, every shattered piece of trust came crashing down. Before he could voice his doubts, a gunshot rang out again, echoing through the alley, and everything went dark. Jack barely processed the gunshot ringing through the air. It felt like time slowed. The world closed in. Above all, the betrayal in his father's eyes pierced him deeper than any bullet ever could. He barely heard Sarah's horrified gasp beside him. "Jack?" Her voice trembled, pulling him from the haze. The cop moved closer, gun drawn, poised to act as chaos swirled around them. "Dad, please." Jack's voice cracked, desperation spilling out. "Why? Why are you doing this?" But before his father could respond, another deafening bang echoed down the alley, coming from behind them. Jack turned, and everything erupted in a blur of movement. The shadowy figure they had seen earlier rushed forward, the gleam of the diamond bracelet reflecting the dim light. "Get down!" Sarah screamed, her instinct kicking in as she threw herself at Jack, pulling him to the ground, just as the figure barreled past them. Jack's world felt like it was tilting. The figure stumbled directly into the path of his father. Jack's heart raced as he watched the two collide. And then, the shocking truth unraveled. "Uncle Ray!" the figure shouted, eyes wide with panic. Jack froze. Uncle Ray? Confusion tangled with anger. What was going on? He raised his head cautiously, barely peeking through his hands. "Get back!" Uncle Ray gasped, struggles playing out as the officer shouted another command. "I told you to stay away!" In that split second, everything changed. "I don't have the briefcase," Uncle Ray pleaded, desperation curdling his shout. "I'm innocent. I didn't mean to get involved. Someone set this up." Jack's breath hitched. "Involved in what?" he whispered, a knot tightening in his chest. "What's going on?" Sarah cried, her own panic spilling over. Jack felt her shake, and he couldn't move, couldn't think. The world had become a spiraling vortex of secrets. Then, Uncle Ray's gaze shifted, locking onto Jack. "They're after the project, Jack! Your father!" He paused, the weight of his words hanging in the air like a storm cloud. He planned everything. The downfall, it was all part of it. Time stopped. Jack's heart thundered. Betrayal swirled, each beat pounding louder in his ears. The chaos around him faded, leaving only the throbbing reality of Uncle Ray's words. You're the reason!" Jack hissed, the truth slicing through him. His father's face hardened, lines of fury etching deep. "No, you don't know what you're talking about," his father shot back, voice taut. But Jack felt the ground shift. "You set me up! You ruined me!" Lily's voice broke the tension. "Wait! What project? What are you talking about?" "Your father used our company to embezzle millions, Lily," Uncle Ray cried, his face a mixture of desperation and fear. Jack felt his own mind spiraling, everything unraveling. The truth hit like a slap. The millions they had lost, the downfall, it was orchestrated, and in the center sat his father. But why? Jack's voice trembled, feeling exposed. Just then, the night burst into chaos again. Sirens screamed closer. Shadows stirred in the alley, and Jack knew they had to move fast. "We need to go." He tugged Sarah's hand, pulling her to him. "Not without the bracelet," Uncle Ray's voice cracked, fear lacing his words. "It's a key. Everything is tied together. Your life is at stake." "What do you mean?" Jack shot back, frustration flaring. But Uncle Ray's eyes turned wild. "Everything, it's all on you. You're in danger. You don't know who you can trust." Before Jack could process it, the world flashed again. In the chaos, a figure emerged from the shadows. A figure he never expected to see. A woman stepped into the flickering light, his mother. "Jack!" she cried, but her eyes held fear, certainty, and an unsettling tension. "We need to leave, now!" The air shifted again. "Mom?" Jack barely breathed out the word. She stepped forward, urgency spilling from her. "It's not just about the money, Jack. They'll come for you. There are forces at play bigger than you can imagine." Every word felt like a ricochet in his mind. Jack's heart pounded with uncertainty. What have you all done? In that moment of desperation, everything spiraled. "Jack, listen to me!" His mother's voice cut through the confusion. "Your father, he never was who you thought." The statement landed like a bomb, and as the sirens grew nearer, Jack felt it. His world was sweeping out from under him. Tension crackled in the air, uncertainty consuming them all. Was everything built on lies? Could he trust anyone? In those fleeting seconds, as danger loomed and chaos surrounded them, Jack realized the most important question of all. How far would his family go to keep him from the truth? And as shadows loomed ever closer, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real danger was only just beginning. Jack stared at his father, the weight of all the unspoken truths hanging heavy in the air. "What did you do, Dad?" Jack asked, every word laced with disbelief. The alley seemed to close in on him, shadows lurking like guilty secrets. His father stepped back, rage flaring in his eyes. "You don't understand. I did what I had to do." "Had to do?" Jack's voice shook, rising in temperature. "You made me lose everything. You tore our family apart." The commotion around them faded. All he could hear was the harsh rhythm of his own heart, pulsing in his ears. The officer, still poised with his gun, looked ready to spring into action at the slightest move. Jack felt Sarah's hand tremble beside him, her fear radiating like heat in the cold night. "Jack!" Willie's voice broke through his anger. "We can't let him corner us like this. We have to move." But Jack was rooted to the spot, grappling with his father's betrayal. Uncle Ray was still in the back, eyes darting, desperation wrinkling. His face. "We don't have the time for this. People are out there, watching." Then Jack heard it, a faint sound, at first, like whispers, trailing through the alleys. It intensified, rising to a crescendo. More footsteps, more voices. "They're coming! We need to go now!" He yanked Sarah closer, urgency surging through him. But his father stepped forward, hands raised like he was trying to break a spell. "You don't know what's at stake. I sacrificed everything for our legacy." "What legacy?" Jack shot back, wild with disbelief. "You mean the plans to ruin innocent lives, to play with people's futures?" Just then, the air shifted. A low rumble echoed, and the ground trembled beneath them. Jack's world spun. What? The shadows stretched longer, as a loud explosion erupted at the far end of the alley, sending a shockwave through the night. Debris flew through the air, illuminating the darkness with sparks that crackled like fireworks. Instinctively, Jack threw himself over Sarah, shielding her from the onslaught. "What the hell just happened?" Uncle Ray scrambled to stand, eyes wide with fear. Jack's heart sank. They were too close to the epicenter of something horrific. Amidst the chaos, a figure stumbled from the smoke, a woman, clothed in an elegant dress, her face smudged with soot. "Help! Help me!" she cried, voice wavering. Then Jack's heart stopped. "Mom?" He blinked, disbelieving. The woman's eyes reflected pure terror, and as she fell to her knees, she clutched a familiar briefcase against her chest, battered but unbroken. "I came to warn you. It wasn't just your father. I'm sorry." The world around Jack spun into chaos. "You?" Jack's voice cracked. "What did you do?" Her face crumpled with despair. "It was never just your dad. I've been involved. We both were. Time froze. Everything he thought he knew shattered, scattering like the debris that rained down around them. The alley felt claustrophobic, each breath heavy with the weight of truth. "No!" Jack screamed, tears spilling over. "You were supposed to protect us." "I thought I was doing the right thing." His mother's voice cracked, flooded with panic. "I wanted to keep you safe, but it all went wrong." Jack couldn't breathe. He looked from her to his father and back again, every angle of betrayal sliced deeper. Uncle Ray's eyes flicked between them, mirroring Jack's disbelief. Suddenly, a chorus of sirens joined the chaos, getting closer. "We need to move, now!" Lily shouted, urgency cracking through her voice. But Jack stood frozen, heart pounding. "No." Then his mother's next words hit him, sharp as a knife. "Jack, they were the ones behind everything. Not just me. Your father. They're after you because you're the only one who can stop it." The finality of her words crashed over him, drowning out everything. "What do you mean, stop it?" Jack gasped. "Stop what?" Uncle Ray demanded, dread flooding his voice. Jack felt the world tilt as contradictions battled within him. The night, the sirens, his parents. Nothing made sense anymore. Relationships shattered, truths twisted into silhouettes of deceit. As the chaos swelled around them, the darkness loomed larger, now filled with shadows he had to face. "Jack, you have to trust me," his mom pleaded desperately. But could he? He looked into the eyes of his family, betrayed by all. "Stop what? What are you not telling me?" Before anyone could answer, the explosion echoed again, closer this time. Bright flashes illuminated the darkness, casting shadows that danced around them like ghosts. There was no more time. Jack felt the heat of panic lace through the air, tightening around his chest. The truth was just beyond his reach, tangled in threads of secrets he had yet to unravel. All he knew was one thing: the storm was not over. And as they scrambled to escape, Jack wondered what his next step would be in a world turned upside down, fractured by the very people he once trusted the most. Jack stared at his parents, disbelief creeping in. The explosion echoed behind them, chaos swirling around like a storm. The truth was spilling out, but no one had time to process it. "Jack, listen," his mom urged, eyes wide, fear flickering like the firelight. "We need to leave before—" Before what? Jack's voice trembled with a mix of anger and confusion. "You've all been lying to me. How can I trust anything you say now?" As the sirens blared closer, his father, usually so composed, looked frantic. "We can explain everything. Just trust me, please." But just then, another blast erupted. A shot rang out from the entrance of the alley, and the world narrowed in that one terrible moment. A figure lunged forward, gun raised, eyes wild with intent. "Run!" Lily screamed, a panic exploding into action. Jack shoved Sarah behind him, every instinct urging him to protect. He felt the thump of adrenaline, muscles coiling tight. But then, from the corner of his eye, he spotted someone familiar, a face he hadn't seen in years. It was Claire, an old friend from his past. Claire? He couldn't comprehend how she fit into this madness. "Jack, you have to get out of here," she yelled, eyes darting. To the gunman, frantic, pleading. The pieces shifted again. Claire had always been close to his family. "What are you doing here?" But she didn't answer. Instead, her gaze sharpened, like she sensed something heavier than words. "They're not who you think they are. You need to listen to me." Jack's mind raced. His father's betrayal, his mother's hidden past, Lily's plea. Nothing was clear anymore. "The bracelet!" Claire shouted, urgency flooding her voice. "It's not just jewelry. It's a key to a bigger scheme. You can't trust anyone." In disbelief, Jack took a step back. What scheme? Every word felt like a knife, cutting deeper into layers of deception. Everything. Your father. It's all a cover. They're using you to gain control over something far more dangerous. Claire's voice was strained. And they're going to make you pay for it. The gunman took a step forward, his face shrouded in darkness, a predator ready to pounce. Jack's heart raced as he processed Claire's words. "What do you mean?" But before she could reply, Uncle Ray lunged forward, desperately trying to create distance. "Stay back! You don't know what you're doing!" In that heartbeat, the alley erupted once more. The gunman squeezed the trigger, the bang ringing in the night air like a death knell. And in the chaos, everything fractured. Jack stumbled. Time slowed. A blurry movement caught his eye. Claire threw herself in front of him. "No!" he shouted. But the world narrowed into a grim silence. The impact was visceral. Claire fell to the ground, eyes wide, gasping. The air turned electric, every breath building a suffocating weight. "Claire!" Jack dropped to his knees, heart thundering in his chest. His mind reeled. "What have you done?" In slow motion, as her breath grew shallow, Claire's eyes met his. "You have to understand," she gasped, words barely escaping her lips. "It's all connected. Stay safe, Jack." Shock crashed over him, drowning everything else. A siren wailed in the distance, getting closer. The shadows around them twisted with confusion and panic. Just when he thought the chaos couldn't get worse, he caught a glimpse of the gunman's reflection in Claire's eyes. Recognition washing over him. It wasn't just a random attacker. It was someone he knew. Someone from his past. Everything flipped again, and he felt the walls closing in. "Get out of here!" Sarah screamed, yanking him back to the moment. But could he really leave? Not now. Not after everything that had unfolded. Jack's mind spun with the lies, the chaos, the layers of betrayal peeling back in the stark light of truth. "Jack!" his father cried, desperation pooling in his voice. But it felt distant. All he could hear was the pounding in his ears and Claire's fading breaths. Then it hit him, the true nature of this game and who held all the cards. In that moment, the reality unraveled. They were all trapped. "Why?" he whispered, realization burning through his veins. But as the sirens blared closer and the gunman ready to act, Jack had one gut-wrenching question replaying in his head. Who could he really trust now? And what lay ahead in the shadows? Jack stared at his parents, disbelief creeping in. The explosion echoed behind them, chaos swirling around like a storm. The truth was spilling out, but no one had time to process it. "Jack, listen!" his mom urged, eyes wide, fear flickering like the firelight. "We need to leave. Before what?" Jack's voice trembled with a mix of anger and confusion. "You've all been lying to me. How can I trust anything you say now?" As the sirens blared closer, his father, usually so composed, looked frantic. "We can explain everything. Just trust me, please." But just then, another blast erupted. A shot rang out from the entrance of the alley, and the world narrowed in that one terrible moment. A figure lunged forward, gun raised, eyes wild with intent. "Run!" Lily screamed, a panic exploding into action. Jack shoved Sarah behind him, every instinct urging him to protect. He felt the thump of adrenaline, muscles coiling tight. But then, from the corner of his eye, he spotted someone familiar, a face he hadn't seen in years. It was Claire, an old friend from his past. "Claire?" He couldn't comprehend how she fit into this madness. "Jack, you have to get out of here," she yelled, eyes darting to the gunman, frantic, pleading. The pieces shifted. Again, Claire had always been close to his family. "What are you doing here?" But she didn't answer. Instead, her gaze sharpened, like she sensed something heavier than words. "They're not who you think they are. You need to listen to me." Jack's mind raced. His father's betrayal, his mother's hidden past, Lily's plea. Nothing was clear anymore. "The bracelet!" Claire shouted, urgency flooding her voice. "It's not just jewelry. It's a key to a bigger scheme. You can't trust anyone." In disbelief, Jack took a step back. What scheme? Every word felt like a knife, cutting deeper into layers of deception. "Everything! Your father, it's all a cover. They're using you to gain control over something far more dangerous." Claire's voice was strained. "And they're going to make you pay for it." The gunman took a step forward, his face shrouded in darkness. A predator, ready to pounce. Jack's heart raced as he processed Claire's words. "What do you mean?" But before she could reply, Uncle Ray lunged forward, desperately trying to create distance. "Stay back! You don't know what you're doing!" In that heartbeat, the alley erupted once more. The gunman squeezed the trigger, the bang ringing in the night air, like a death knell. And in the chaos, everything fractured. Jack stumbled. Time slowed. A blurry movement caught his eye. Claire threw herself in front of him. "No!" he shouted, but the world narrowed into a grim silence. The impact was visceral. Claire fell to the ground, eyes wide, gasping. The air turned electric, every breath building a suffocating weight. "Claire!" Jack dropped to his knees, heart thundering in his chest. His mind reeled. "What have you done?" In slow motion, as her breath grew shallow, Claire's eyes met his. "You have to understand," she gasped, words barely escaping her lips. "It's all connected. Stay safe, Jack." Shock crashed over him, drowning everything else. A siren wailed in the distance, getting closer. The shadows around them twisted with confusion and panic. Just when he thought the chaos couldn't get worse, he caught a glimpse of the gunman's reflection in Claire's eyes. Recognition washing over him. It wasn't just a random attacker. It was someone he knew, someone from his past. Everything flipped again, and he felt the walls closing in. "Get out of here!" Sarah screamed, yanking him back to the moment. But could he really leave? Not now. Not after everything that had unfolded. Jack's mind spun with the lies, the chaos, the layers of betrayal peeling back in the stark light of truth. "Jack!" his mom cried, desperation pooling in her voice. But it felt distant. All he could hear was the pounding in his ears and Claire's fading breaths. Then it hit him. The true nature of this game, and who held all the cards. In that moment, the reality unraveled. They were all trapped. "Why?" he whispered, realization burning through his veins. But as the sirens blared closer and the gunman readied to act, Jack had one gut-wrenching question replaying in his head. Who could he really trust now, and what lay ahead in the shadows? And just as the distance between them and the danger closed, the gunman threw back his hood. Jack gasped. It was none other than his estranged brother, a ghost from the past he had long since written off. "Surprise, brother, it's me, and I'm here to finish what we started." The words echoed through the street, and with them came a rush of devastation. Everything Jack thought he knew shattered as the darkness consumed him. Jack stood frozen, his heart pounding like a drum in a cacophony. His estranged brother's face cut through the chaos like a knife. "What do you mean, finish what we started?" The words barely left his mouth, as everything spun around him. "But it's not too late, Jack," his brother said, desperation hanging in his tone. "You can still join us. We can rule this city together." The madness of it all slammed into Jack, making his chest tighten. Could he really believe this was his brother? The kid he grew up with, laughing over petty things. Now a man hiding in darkness? "Join you?" Jack's voice cracked, disbelief rolling through him. "You're delusional. You think I'll be part of whatever twisted game you're in?" Gunshots echoed again, a reminder of the chaos erupting around them. Mom, Dad, Sarah, and Lily, all staring, whispering in fear. Jack's attention snapped back to his brother, whose eyes glittered with something deadly. "Listen, Jack, you don't know the half of it. They've been playing you. Mom and Dad, we were set up. And Claire, well, she didn't make it. You're next," he hissed, the words slinking into the twilight air, heavy with unyielding dread. A wave of nausea washed over Jack. "Claire, what did you do?" he spat, anger mixing with despair. The memories of laughter and friendship were painfully still, burned into his mind. "No, I didn't do anything. But you need to make a choice, Jack. Stick with them, or you'll be hunted." He pointed at their parents, the accusation hanging thick with uncertainty. Jack didn't believe him, or did he? The betrayal was chipping away at his resolve. In that moment, the sirens shrieked louder, drawing closer, and they all from shadows, crisscrossing the alley. The gunman edged in, eyes narrowed, watching every single movement. Then, a loud crash filled the space, an explosion nearby cutting through their tension like a knife. The darkness outside erupted into flames of light, sending debris swirling into the air, illuminating everything around them. The force knocked everyone backward, and Jack's world turned upside down. In the chaos, a figure emerged from the smoke. A woman, clutching a folder, rushed toward them, desperation written on her face. "Jack, you need to know the truth." Recognition hit like a wave. It was Emma, a journalist who had once covered the inner workings of their family business. "What are you doing here, Emma?" Jack shouted through the roaring wind, panic lighting his chest. "It's all connected. The embezzlement, the lies, even your father. Your family isn't who you think they are. They've made deals with the wrong people." Her voice cracked against the backdrop of chaos, cutting through the din of sirens and hastily retreating footsteps. "Enough," his father bellowed, eyes turning wild, as if he were trying to grab hold of his unraveling world. "This is not what it seems." But even as he spoke, Jack felt a stirring deep within. The doubt clawed at him. What if everything was a lie? What if his whole life was just a game, orchestrated by those he trusted most? The flames painted shadows on their faces, boiling emotions. Emma pressed forward, the folder shaking in her hands. "Jack, you need this." She thrust it toward him, but before he could take it, a shadow darted from the edge, a figure moving fast, darting in the mayhem. A split second later, a loud crack echoed. Jack felt the wind of a bullet whiz past him. Time slowed again, every heartbeat echoing painfully. And then, just as everyone looked on, the gunman crumpled to the ground, a shocked expression etched on his face. Eyes turned to the back, where another figure emerged, staggering out of the darkness. It was Aunt Meg, his father's sister, thought dead in an accident years ago. The sight twisted Jack's gut. "Meg? But how?" "Let's just say I knew too much," Aunt Meg said, blood dripping from her arm. Her gaze swept over the scene, steely and resolute. "And I've come back to end this charade." Jack's mind raced. In that moment of sheer chaos, as relationships shattered and secrets unfolded, everything he believed crumbled. "What have you been hiding?" he shouted, desperation clawing at him as his whole world descended into madness. Amidst the roaring sirens and chaos, the truth loomed. Jack only had one question left, the question that would haunt him forever. What had his family really done to protect their empire? As the answers hung in the smoky air, he felt a chilling certainty. They were deeper in this than he could ever imagine, and now he was standing right at the precipice, waiting for it all to come crashing down. Jack's world crashed around him in fragments, each truth slicing deeper than the last. His brother's words replayed in his mind like a haunting melody. Finish what we started. The weight of betrayal hung like a heavy fog, making it hard to breathe. Aunt Meg stepped forward, blood staining her sleeve. Every secret has a cost, Jack. Her voice fought against the rising chaos. We all thought we were protecting you, but the truth, it's more dangerous than you can imagine. Jack's heart raced as he processed the shattering reality. So you all knew? You let this happen? Anger and disbelief twisted his insides. His father opened his mouth to defend himself, but the sound of approaching sirens drowned him out. "Stop!" Claire gasped, struggle glimmering in her eyes. "Listen to me!" But it was too late. The sound of footsteps echoed ominously. "We need to move now!" Sarah's voice broke through the din, pulling Jack back to focus. Those sirens, their warnings, were close. "Are you coming or staying?" Lily's determination flared in her stance. "Ready for action." "What do we do?" Jack felt lost, a whirlwind of emotions pressing down. That's when Emma hesitated, then stepped in. "I have what he wants." She hoisted the folder high, and a collective breath was held. "It has everything. Names, dates, the whole scheme. This can expose all of them." Jack's heart leaped. This was it, the key to unraveling the lie. "You have to trust me, everyone. We can take them down." But doubt lingered in the depths of his gut. Rushing footsteps echoed closer. Jack turned to his brother. "You can't keep this up. If you truly are my brother, you would want better." His brother's expression faltered, a brief flicker of humanity beneath the chaos. "It's too late for that, Jack." The gunman stirred, a fresh resolve sealing his twisted fate. "Either you join me or face the consequences." The tension thickened, crackling like electricity. Aunt Meg stepped forward. "Enough of this!" Her voice rang with authority. "Jack, if you're going to do this, you need to do it now." Time stretched painfully. "Run!" Jack shouted. He waved toward the alley's exit, heart racing as adrenaline surged. Everyone bolted, feet pounding against the pavement. Jack glanced back, just in time to see Claire, laid out on the ground, breaths shallow. "You can't leave her!" he shouted, his voice breaking. But Meg grasped his arm firmly. "Go! We can't risk anyone else, Jack!" As they raced down the alley, Jack felt every second gnaw at him. "I'll come back for you! Claire!" he yelled. But the chaos consumed them. With sirens blaring, they hurtled forward, zigzagging through shadows and light. As they slipped into the dark streets beyond, Jack caught a glimpse of the unfolding chaos, the gunman struggling back. To his feet, rage erupting in his eyes. They stumbled into an empty square, the world suddenly silent. Heart pounding, Jack turned to face his family. What now? A heavy tension hung in the air, dark and thick. "We need to get to safety and then figure out our next move," Lily murmured, looking to each of them for agreement. But as Jack's family regrouped, uncertainty hung over them like a storm cloud. "Jack, it's time to make our move for the truth to come out." Aunt Meg pressed, determination sparking in her gaze. "We can't live in fear anymore." Nods of agreement echoed around them. This was it. Together, they formed a united front, ready to fight against the darkness that had enveloped them for so long. Jack's heart swelled with a mixture of fear and hope. They would find a way. They had to. In that moment, a rush of clarity washed over him. Family was worth battling for, even intertwined with secrets and shadows. But as they turned their backs to the chaos, Jack couldn't shake the icy fingers of doubt. What awaited them in the uncharted territory of truth? Would the cost of uncovering the web of lies they lived in be worth it? "Let's go," he said, tightening his grip on Sarah's hand. But deep down, a storm brewed. He glanced back once more, the shadows growing thicker, and then the world closed in. But before he could take another step, an explosion rocked the ground beneath him. "Jack!" The call for him pierced through the air, echoing a warning. It was far from over. As flames danced in the distance, the uncertainty loomed larger, waiting to unleash the truth that would change everything. You must subscribe now to catch the next explosive chapter of this saga. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm monster. Flood the comment section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about what's ahead. Don't wait one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to know what happens next. And remember, don't leave the channel just yet. Click on the next thrilling story at the end of this video. You won't want to miss it.